So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to invite Michael.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi. I'm I'm in conversation with, I hope I get it right, with Mr. Michael Pavala Goldman.
You got
Okay.
it.
I I have the permission to address him as Michael. So all my friends and elders in India, please note I have the permission so I can call him Michael, because here it's a little frowned upon to use the first name. Uh, uh, Michael, my name is Karthike. I'm in Mumbai. That's the capital city of the state of Maharashtra. Where are you situated?
I am in Florence, Massachusetts. So this is northeastern United States. I'm located about 2 hours drive from Boston, which is
Okay.
the closest city, and about 3 hours north of New York City.
Okay. Uh, so I presume that since you're a little away from New York, you must be living in a peaceful place, a lot of greenery, or is this the hustle bustle of a city?
No. Our house is surrounded by woods, and there's a small city about 2 miles away. So
Okay.
yeah, so there's a lot of nature here. Sometimes we have bears and wild turkeys and little things visiting around our house.
And do
Even
you
we even
prefer this?
What's that?
Sorry, carry on.
No, even a bobcat. We had a bobcat come by once last year. So yeah, it's a lovely place.
And do you prefer this to the city life?
I do. I have lived in Boston, and I have lived in megalopolis, and I prefer to live a little outside that. Yes.
I presume it helps with poetry and also your music.
Um, well, it helps with. I mean, I don't. I'm not sure. I think it's a personal thing. I think it depends on the individual, what you're attracted to and what stimulates you. And for me, I do appreciate the solitude and the quiet that nature can give. And I can be easily overstimulated if I'm in the city too much.
When oft upon my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude.
Yeah,
And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
yeah, William
Uh,
Wordsworth.
yes, it's one of a popular poem and a poem that's close to me.
Yeah.
But Florence is the name. When I come to US, I'd like to perhaps I will be visiting Boston. I have friends there. Perhaps
Oh,
I can come to Florence and make friends with the Bobcats. I think they'll like me. We are here for. I must wish you. I must congratulate you. This is the book. It's the
yeah, yeah.
Corona.
I've got one here
Yes,
too.
yes. Uh, Compiled by Akshay Sonthalia, and the title Corona Global Lockdown, and through the brand of Poet's Choice. And they're working very hard to make meaningful anthologies and poems that speak about issues of the soul and also of the physical world. So congratulations for the book and the poem. We'll be going to the poem shortly. Before that, may I learn about how have you been writing for long?
So, uh, my writing has actually two different branches to it. I have written 3 books of poetry. I've also translated 17 books of Danish literature, both poetry and prose. Before I dedicated myself to writing, which really started seriously about 8 years ago, I was a carpenter contractor for 15 years, building and remodeling. And I've also been married for 31 years to Jetta, who's Danish. She's from Denmark.
Okay.
And she's a lovely advisor to my translations, and I draw a lot of inspiration for writing from our relationship as well. So I have this dual, it's kind of a dual project. I'm usually translating some work from Danish, but also pursuing my original poetry as well. As part of that, I also teach. I teach Danish, and I also run poetry workshops twice a month for a couple of community groups in Western Massachusetts here, and I've been doing that for over 3 years as well. So that's a little bit of kind of my, my work.
Okay. So are you still working with wood?
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I left that field while my body was still working.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. And you mentioned Danish poetry. Now, what do you particularly like about the works, or are you translating because of your wife? Did it start off as a love project, perhaps?
Learning the Danish language was a love project. That is, because I fell in love with her, I felt that it was necessary that I learn her language in order to participate more fully in her family and her life, and eventually her culture. So I taught myself Danish when I was 19. I was living in Denmark. With a little bit of luck, I got a job on a farm for a summer, and I taught myself to speak while I was there. In order to keep my language developing, I read Danish literature for all the time. So I was always collecting Danish books and learning about the language and the culture through that, no matter where I was. And after 25 years of reading Danish literature, I had acquired favorites, right? I had acquired a body of authors that I just loved. And I never really aspired to become a translator. I just decided that I wanted to share some of this with my family and friends. So I started to translate, and it ended up ballooning and really taking over my life. And also through that process of writing, of distilling translations, it turned me back to my own voice in poetry and helped me to take my own writing more seriously and use my process also to help others.
So the knowledge of another language, did it also help you write in English? Is there any advantage to knowing the second language?
I think so. There probably is, but there's 2 things that I think of. One is the process. So the process of translation is taking in not just words, but an emotional charge within the context of the text. Taking in that emotional charge, and then recreating that in English, right? In my mother tongue. So that's the translation process. The poetic process is very similar to that, right? That I'm experiencing something, I'm noticing something, I'm having a revelation, an observation, and I want to be able to put that into words, because it doesn't come in words. it comes in some kind of emotional charge and context. And so
Okay.
so even though I'm not translating from another language, I'm translating from an internal experience, which is also a kind of language. So there's that. So I think that process has been helpful to just kind of give a clear path for putting the words down.
That's very interesting. So poets by themselves are natural translators.
Well, we all translate.
Hmm.
It's just we're maybe not conscious of it. We all constantly translate our experience so that it makes sense to us, based on how we grew up, based on our life context. We make sense of the world around us and translate it so we can feel a part of our own life. So we all are translators. This is like a subset of translation in the artistic process.
Okay, okay. I sincerely look forward to listening to many of your poems today, including the one in the book. We'll begin with that. But it'll be incomplete. This introductory talk will be incomplete if I don't ask you about what's mentioned in the bio of your Instagram page, jazz clarinetist. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I have been playing the clarinet for over 30 years, and I've been playing the bass clarinet for several years as well. I have a jazz band here in Western Massachusetts called Now's the Time Jazz Ensemble. We'll be playing this Saturday. I have a book launch scheduled for Saturday evening here in Northampton, which is our closest city, at the Northampton Center for the Arts. Our band will be playing, and then after that I'll be reading from my 2 new books of poetry, Small Sovereign and Slow Phoenix.
Small Sovereign and Slow Phoenix.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So much of S, you know.
I know, it's confusing.
No, it's not confusing. It's attractive in a way.
Yeah.
So you have 2 books slated for release this Saturday.
Yes. Yeah.
In what I presume is a physical show attended by actual living people and not people behind the screens.
Yeah, it will be in person, and there will also be a Zoom feed, so people who cannot attend in person can see it on Zoom as well.
And in that event, your band will also be playing. I presume it's a jazz band.
Yes, we'll be playing jazz standards. Yeah, to start the show.
Oh, lovely, lovely. That's something to aim for. To have a book release and also be the star of the music show.
I'm very grateful, and yeah, it couldn't be better. It's lovely.
But it's 30 years of hard work, right? The
It's
music.
what?
30 years of hard work.
It's a lot of playing, but it's also just like writing. Yeah, it's hard work, and it's also there's an element of love in it too. I mean, the feeling of being inside the creative process, whether it's words or music, is so gratifying that the work and the play are kind of combined.
It is, and it reminds me personally to keep practicing, because 15 minutes now and then turns into 30 minutes, turns into 30 months, into 3 years, into 10 years, into 3 decades.
That's it. It's there's something about about discipline that putting in the hours that creates a familiarity that is really joyful.
That is joyful, true. Will you be playing covers, or do you also make original compositions?
We'll be playing all covers of jazz standards, and it'll be so.
Perhaps we'll get a recording of the show on Instagram and Facebook, so I could probably be at Northampton.
Yeah, there
for
is
the virtual way.
we did just make a couple of videos, a couple of promotional videos with me playing the clarinet, and I think that that one or two of those might be posted on Instagram within the next few days. So, but and we will record the Saturday event as well.
I look forward to that. Before we move on to the poem titled "On the Recommendation of My Wife's Uncle," is that the correct title? Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. But before I move on, I must mention to end the talk on music, a very prolific filmmaker from America, that's Woody Allen. I believe he also plays the clarinet.
That's true.
And that's true. And he also has a jazz band that performs. And I remember reading that he practices only 15 minutes a day because he's a lazy person. and he doesn't eat food without practicing. That's his routine.
I see.
So I just wanted to connect that to what we're talking about. But I'm very glad you use the term joy with practice. The term practice does not have to be mundane or boring. It can be very joyful. Will you? Yeah.
It goes back to what we were talking about with translation. I think that's what brings the joy out, is that when, just like within writing, I'm drawing on some spring, some well, some experience, and putting that on paper, that same kind of experience can be had in music, where there's something stirring, some feeling that the melody, that the harmonies bring out, that then I can ride and then express through music. So it's another kind of translation, I think.
It is another kind of translation. So the challenge is to know the soul. Then you can translate more clearly, perhaps. If you know yourself, then the translation becomes easier. Okay. Reminds me, I was reading about this and mentioning to Akshay about Osho. He says the same, that to know yourself is to reach the right goal in life, the right path. We have a few members joining in. Welcome. We have Amita Sonthalia. We have Mr. Joel, Mr. Vedant. We have Mr. Pungai, forgive my pronunciation. And we have a page, Value of Writers. Welcome. And may we begin with the poem on the recommendation of my wife's uncle?
Yeah, sure. And so this, as we talked about before, about Danish literature, that connection is here. I read, I guess it was just last week, that in the US, deaths from corona surpassed deaths from the Spanish flu of 1918. That is, more people have died in this pandemic than they did then. And it makes me wonder, like, in over 100 years, we couldn't do any better. So this poem comes from reading a book. The book's name is Jernstein. It's a Danish book. Jernstein is the name of the character in the novel. And during the novel, he lives through the Spanish flu. This book was written in 1945. And so reading this book, I started it before COVID, but it's a really long book. And as I was reading it, this started to happen around me. And it just felt very surreal to be reading about the pandemic and then experience a new one happening right now at the same time. So that's
uncanny.
The inspiration for this poem. It just happened to be my wife's uncle who had recommended that I read this book. So there it goes. So I can read it now.
Please.
On the recommendation of my wife's uncle, Jernstein, by Jacob Paludan, 1945. I just happened to be reading one of the 3 great coming-of-age novels of Danish literature. And when I got to page 401, the boy's sweetheart catches the Spanish flu and dies the next day. Meanwhile, the president, in his briefing, says cases soon will be down to 0 or close to it. Now I'm on page 621, close to the end. Thousands of people are dying every day. I'm housebound by fear and necessity. Yaron is still grieving. I have only just started.
Lovely, lovely. How do I pronounce? It's your
Yaron.
yearn. Okay. It's like yearning. Yearn. I'll use the yearn. Okay. So yearn is still grieving. I've only just started. Have you finished reading the book?
There's something about when the experience is written in a novel that is 75 years old. You know, he's still grieving. Every time you open that book, he's grieving, and he will never stop grieving. And there's just something about art that does that, and then reminds us of ourselves and of our present. And that's what this book did for me, and that's where the inspiration of the poem came from.
Art reminds us of our present. This is the way it connects us to life that has been lived.
Yeah.
We learn in a way from our ancestors through the medium of art. And reading the novel and in 2021, in 2021, you're able to connect with somebody from 1945. Though the fashion sense was different, the cars were different, the pollution was different, yet what is similar is the capacity and the capability to feel.
Yeah.
That's the emotion, which I connect to what you mentioned earlier, the emotional charge.
Yeah.
That, and in the words of Leo Tolstoy, I believe, to be able to understand, I'm not quoting him, but this is what he mentioned, to be able to understand the suffering of others, that's what makes us a human being.
Yeah, well, I think that's also in a way, the purpose of poetry or any kind of art is that when it's really good, it helps to soften the shells around our hearts so that we can have more compassion for the world, for people around us, and for ourselves. And if a poem or a novel or a work of art can do that, then it's done some small, important job.
Perhaps a major job, perhaps.
I have a poem about that.
Oh, please.
That I
Let's
could
go
share.
there. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
This is from Slow Phoenix.
Slow Phoenix, okay.
The title is Enough. Poetry relocates suffering onto a page. But who really needs to know how bad things have been? Aren't there enough calls for help? If poetry is trying to soften one heart at a time, so someday there will be no tolerance for the misery of others. Well, okay then.
Oh, since I don't have the poem in front of me, may I request you the last few lines again?
Yeah.
If poetry softens.
If poetry is trying to soften one heart at a time, so someday there will be no tolerance for the misery of others. Well, okay then.
Well, that's a very fine use of the modern phrase "okay then." It's used so nonchalantly by the younger lot. Okay then. You have used it so well. You have taken the phrase from the youngsters and you have given it so much of weight. And I have a question here. The poem, yes, the poem relates with Corona. It also relates with, perhaps I can comfortably say, existence. Because suffering is existence, if you believe the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does relate. Just to answer the question, it does relate to the Corona global lockdown, and it goes beyond.
I have a few other Corona-related poems. If you like, if we want to get into
Yes,
more.
yes, this is we are in a flow right now. It just seems very apt.
So this next one, I guess it's both humorous and sad, but I like that combination. Anyway, this is called Word of the Year. Word of the Year. I named my new puppy Pandemic. He's growing all the time. We go for a lot of walks. He gets into everything. I try and do what you're supposed to. So I have to say no a lot. Sometimes it feels like he's training me. I think we're bonding. He follows me everywhere. I get nervous when we pass others, afraid he'll jump. The longer we're together, I forget what my life was like before.
And I guess the relationship with Pandemic the dog is ongoing. It seems the relationship will last for some time.
Yeah.
He'll be an endemic part of your life, if I may use that word. When we say that we don't remember what that life before was different. When we say that for animals, it's generally taken in a positive context. That hey, my life, I don't even remember the life I had before I met my sweet dog.
Yeah.
But here, this line makes you think. Because it's not really the dog, it's the pandemic. So it's a play on that thought. But I believe this will be very popular. It'll be especially among people who are new to poetry, because they'll be able to connect something. A puppy, a dog, something that is physical and seen, to something that is of a much grander dimension. That is the virus. So
another connection is that during the pandemic, lots and lots of people got pets, more than usual, because they were home and they thought, oh well, now I could get a dog or a cat or whatever. So there's that thing too. It's like, oh yeah, this is my pandemic puppy. Yeah.
True, and for all the people who got pets during the pandemic, I hope when things open up, you don't abandon them. Please persist with them. Yeah. They'll remind you of togetherness and loyalty.
So would you like to hear another one?
Yes.
So this one is connected to another event that happened during the pandemic here in the United States at the Capitol.
Okay.
Convergence. As we were watching the rioters on TV swarm the Capitol, break windows, and storm down the hallways, an alarm went off in our house. I checked the kitchen appliances, the smoke detectors and computers, finally ended up in the basement, looking up at a little white box on the ceiling with a red light flashing and beeping. I opened the windows, turned on a fan, checked Google, and called the fire department, who told us to evacuate. Carbon monoxide is poisonous, invisible, and odorless. So we bundled up, shot baskets in the driveway in sub-freezing temperatures until the fire crew arrived in helmets, masks, boots, gloves, marched into the house, tested the air, and proclaimed it safe to return. We decided it must have been the wood stove not getting enough air when the damper was closed. We thanked the crew and out they marched. Then our son laid into us for not wearing our COVID masks while we were outside. He said he was fed up with us and leaving as soon as possible. We were so irresponsible. We wanted to talk it through, but he flat out refused. Congress returned and counted the electoral votes, which the aides had rescued. We resolved to clean out the wood stove after it cooled down.
Ooh. This you'll have to help me a little bit. I see the relation between the January 6th, that's the date, storming of the Capitol, or the Capitol, is it the Capitol, I believe, that's how it's called, and the storming in of the fire department people. Is there any deeper subtext for anybody who's not aware of the political situation?
I guess I would say that event is really a significant of the divide in the psyche in the United States. And when I say carbon monoxide is poisonous, invisible, and odorless, that's not the only thing that is poisonous, invisible, and odorless. But there's also conflict and political debate and lies are also just as harmful and poisonous and cause us to to do things that are very uncomfortable.
That's true. That's true. Also, if it's based on facts, have you resolved the issue with your son, or is he still upset over the masks?
No, it's okay.
It's okay now.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's wonderful. I was a math. Yeah.
I could read another short one if you'd like.
Oh yes, please.
So this one speaks a little bit to just our ability to cope with the stresses of the pandemic, and from many different angles. So this is called Common Denominator. Common denominator.
Denominator.
Electromagnetic radiation is so stable, we receive pictures from Mars like letters in the mailbox. Someone is inventing, or has, a telescope to look through and see the effect of the Big Bang. Meanwhile, 18% of Worcester City residents are not alone in having no internet. How is virtual learning working for your family? Have you learned to dance?
That's a lovely last line. The dance is not just dance; it's also it has so many other meanings.
Yeah.
And you do that. You in the previous poem also you took that phrase, "Okay then," and similarly here, the last sentence piques the reader's interest, makes you want to read the poem again. I must quickly ask you here, since you mentioned about virtual learning, and we have I think we have Vedant here. He's from the western part of India. He's an educator. What do you think about virtual learning? Did it work for you in the pandemic? Teaching, virtual learning, did it work? Or did you have to dance around the entire thing?
I've found that writing workshops and even teaching language, as I teach Danish conversation, is actually pretty well suited to Zoom or learning, to virtual learning. What I have a really hard time imagining is how virtual learning works for young children, sitting in front of a screen instead of being able to be present in a classroom with everything that it just feels like a very sad choice, and also for many families, I think a stress that they're not necessarily ready for, and to have their children being under their supervision at home, trying to learn through a teacher and maybe 20 or 30 students through a screen. I think that could be a great big challenge. I'm afraid a lot of people suffered with that. And then the stanza before that, 18% of Worcester City residents don't even have internet. So what's happening there?
True.
This is not an egalitarian pandemic in any way. Not everyone is affected equally.
Oh, it's not. I must agree with you here. I'm in India, and what is 18% for you can become 40% here at times. It increases manifold. I had conversations with this. I'm trying to do a story on this, a newspaper story. Vedant, any comment on this? What you heard from Michael? Do type it. I'll read it out, since this is something that is very close to you. Before we move on, Michael, I will announce for all of us that the brand Poet's Choice, which has also published this book, which we are studying currently. They also have their latest anthology of poems published recently. It's called The Realm of Emotions. It was launched today, in fact, and is available on poetschoice.in. That's poetschoice.in. Realm of Emotions. Oh, congratulations, Akshay, and congratulations to Poet's Choice. And secondly, they have a brand called Free Spirit, and they have their collection of short stories. I have I believe the pre-copy or the first copy in my hand. Uh, it's a collection of short stories titled Unforgettable Stories That Stay With You Forever. A very confident title, I must say. Congratulations, Akshay, and it has stories like My 9/11 Wedding, Men Will Be Men. Oh, interesting. And one more, If I Hadn't Done. And some of the authors are from United States, and I believe there are other countries as well in the book. Okay. Congratulations to Poet's Choice and Akshay for this. This seems like when you take a sponsor break. Yeah, but this is an elite sponsor break because it has poetry and literature. Congratulations, and maybe move on, Michael, because I believe you have other poems which we can listen to.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot to choose from here, but let's go with this one. This is called Molasses Pecan Pie.
Okay, that's just a minute. Molasses. What's the second word?
Treacle?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what treacle is? Dark sugar, very dark sugar syrup.
Yeah. That's molasses. Okay.
Molasses in the United States, yeah.
And the second word is peak.
Pecan.
Okay. Okay, got it.
They're nuts, right?
Yes.
So yeah, okay. It's very delicious pie.
Okay.
Molasses pecan pie. We're always on the brink of something, either out there or in here, the end of some era, with fear just beyond, because we're powerless to some extent. And whoever is creating destiny probably is not taking into account what we think. And then there's molasses pecan pie. I can't say it's my all-time favorite. And of course, some are better than others. But you have to admit, you can't argue with it. It's right there on the table, looking like $1 million. And there's nothing holding you back except the sneaking suspicion that when you eat it, it will be gone. But that kind of anxiety is easy enough to suppress under the circumstances. The anxiety is made obsolete by the presence of something so obviously superior. And therein lies the secret to whatever conundrums we inevitably face.
This is lovely. This is so good. You call this anxiety superior than the other ones, we're on the brink of expectations of fear, this and that. But the pie, which also stands for simplicity.
Yeah.
It is, and this will also resonate very well with people who, think about overthinking, who are. I don't have words because.
Let me repeat that line. The anxiety is made obsolete by the presence of something so obviously superior. We just had we have Khushbu joining in. Khushbu, I think you heard the poem
And since you are a chef, uh, you can understand and appreciate the value of pecan pie, and you can also bake it for me the next time we meet. Because it is obviously superior, as has been certified by uh, our gentleman friend from Florence, Michael. This is I really hope to listen or read this poem again. This is, it's, I like how it draws the parallels. But I believe you're already on to the next one. I can see the movement of eyes.
Wait, you talked about overthinking.
Yeah.
And so I just wrote this yesterday. So it's very fresh, but it speaks to that theme of overthinking. So I thought I would just go ahead and jump into
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
My mind is running interference for my soul. My mind is running interference for my soul. Like a bouncer with an advanced degree, my mind knows its duties all too well. It goes above and beyond the minimum without really needing to. A kind of self-loathing for being in this position with no prospects. Meanwhile, I am on the street, unable to satisfy its interminable questions and requirements for admittance to a different kind of experience, one without stratagems or even words. My mind has a litany of reasons why I may go no further, all of my own invention.
The mind is. Do you believe? I must ask you. Do you feel that we are not our mind then? We identify with our mind too much, maybe.
Correct. That our mind is not all of us. Yes. At least that is. I see the mind as the strategic part of ourselves.
Yes,
and that
yes,
there
yes.
Is, that is a layer of ourselves that often obscures what may be more elemental and connecting.
That's true, that's true. And we give weightage to all the stratagems, that's the word you used, all the strategies, and we are too concerned about the correct words that we lose the essence perhaps of the next experience. Okay, well, yes, are you saying something, Michael?
No, I think you're right on. You are right on.
Khushbu says, beautiful. I don't understand. I think it's for your poem or it's for me, but I think it's for the poem. It's for your poem, okay. I must ask you, will I be pressing if I ask you for one more?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was, let's do one more. This poem was inspired by Socrates, who supplied essay question material to the school system of my childhood. The essay question, or the essay material, was the quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And the poem is called Permanent Change. This poem also speaks to some of the material in my most recent book, Small Sovereign. That is, We are sovereign individuals. We can make our decisions each day to a certain degree. We are in charge of our little universe. And yet, at the same time, we can feel too small to do anything of meaning. Small sovereign. So this poem is called Permanent Change. It's the quote-unquote unexamined life again. That essay question from junior high, as if anyone at that age, amid acne, family, and infatuations, has any grasp on what Socrates was getting at. It is plausible that teachers always trotted out that assignment because they had an inkling we would be glad to have it, to hang part of our lives on 30 years or more down the road, when life started to matter in another way, when we would see our possible impact reaching back generations and deep into the present with all its news and turbulence, and then ask ourselves seriously how we truly feel, why we do what we do, why we are the way we are. And it will feel so big and small at the same time.
Ooh, okay. This is I have so many questions that my mind is interfering with my with my soul. But personally, do you believe that Socrates, as we call him in our country, Socrates, that's Socrates, do you think he's correct that about the unexamined life, or is ignorance bliss?
I don't have an answer. I think it's both. It has to be both. It's not either or. It has to be both. I mean, it's like, a tree doesn't ask, am I growing the right way? And yet at the same time, there is a wisdom to being in right relationship to one's past and one's present. And in order to become in right relationship with one's past and one's present, takes some awareness, some courage, and some awareness to step in to what is actually there.
It does take courage. I speak from my own heart. It does take courage, and Vedant agrees, and he quotes, I think he's quoting the last line, you will feel so big and so small at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. True. While you're perhaps on to the next one, I can see that through the screen. I just, before I forget, I quickly want to ask you, is it okay, it says here, do we have the approval to post this on Instagram and YouTube, on the social media?
Sure.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I look forward to sharing this with my friends. And I'll also leave the time, the timestamps as they're called, so they can perhaps refer to certain parts. Like Vedant would appreciate the one about education. So that will be good. That will be wonderful. Yes, please, Michael.
I was thinking maybe we just wrap up with one last
Yes.
short.
Yes, please.
And this poem speaks to the fact of being a writer in a community that, and not just in a community, but also in a continuum of history and geography. That any artist, any writer is not on their own. I have people that help me. Not just my wife, but also my editor and the writing community that I'm a part of here in Western Massachusetts, and also my translation community, and all of this goes into what I end up creating. And so I wanted so that's kind of the inspiration for this last poem, Brainchild. I made this thing, the kind of thing people have thought about for ages. So I feel a bit embarrassed calling it mine. Actually, it's yours.
Once again, if I may ask, could you, so I can grasp it better? Yeah.
Do you want me to read it again?
Please, please.
Okay. Brainchild. I made this thing, the kind of thing people have thought about for ages. So I feel a bit embarrassed calling it mine. Actually, it's yours.
Wow. That requires tremendous humility to have to say such a thing. And isn't it true? Do you believe there are original thoughts in the world? Do you believe we are truly original?
I don't know. I mean, I know that almost everything that I write is based on something that I heard, something that I remembered, something that I read, something that I saw. I feel like it's more a conversation. If we're speaking, what I just said, is that truly original? I don't know. I feel like it's more a conversation that's been ongoing from the beginning of time. And I'm one more participant in the conversation. So it's not just me. It's all of it. It's synergy.
It is synergy. We are passengers of time, or rather passengers in time, perhaps. I look forward to both your books.
Thank you.
That is Small Sovereign, and that one is Small Sovereign, and the other one has an S in the beginning, and then what's the other one? Oh yes, Slow Phoenix.
They can be had from my website, which is just my name, michaelfavalagoldman.com. They're also on Amazon and other places, but I have them
Okay.
on my
Okay, perhaps in the bio we can mention the website as well for the books. And also, do you have any links to any musical works which anybody listening to this at a later date would like to access, perhaps? If not, would they be made available on the website?
So my band has a Facebook page, and so there's some videos there. And
Okay.
It's Now's the Time Jazz Ensemble.
That's NOWS. Now's the time.
Now's the Time. Yeah, NOW''S. Now's the Time Jazz Ensemble. And we, like I said, we just have a Facebook page. We don't have a website.
Okay, got it. I look forward to,
Great, yeah. And we'll be playing this Saturday at 7 o'clock. And the link to that on Zoom is on my website on the front page. So you can hear us then.
Yes.
It'll
Thank
be
you so
5
much.
o'clock. It'll be 5 o'clock in the morning for you.
Perfect time, right? With the birds. We'll attend with the birds. 5 o'clock. Okay. thank you so much. I truly enjoyed myself listening to your thoughts and having a conversation. This is what we call in our country a mehfil. The word is mehfil. It is a coming together of thoughts, ideas, and people.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mr. Michael Goldman. Thank you so much. I wish you the best. And for anybody who'd like to read more of his works, apart from Slow Phoenix and no, right? Yeah, Slow Phoenix, and the other one is
Small Sovereign.
Small Sovereign. You have Corona Global Lockdown. That's on Poet's Choice. So you have plenty of options. You have plenty of options, and so no excuses allowed. No excuses allowed, or else the bobcats will get you. The bobcats from Florence will come and get you. Pleasure talking to you. And Vedant says, "Ye mehfil jamadi sahab ne." Oh, that's a lovely thing to say, Vedant, which translates to the gentleman, the honorable gentleman has. How do you say mehfil jamadi? The honorable gentleman has decorated the evening with his words, if I may say that. Thank you so much, Vedant, and thank you everyone who has joined in. Thank you to Jen, to Sindhu, Vedant, who are currently here with us. What time is it? Tomorrow we'll see you again with another poet. Oh, that's Miss Ayla, right? Miss Ayla will be joining us tomorrow. We have a discussion on poetry. We'll have a discussion on poetry with her and her contributions to the anthology. So look forward to another great evening. But I must say I look forward to perhaps chatting with you again, Michael. Thank you so much. All the best with all your work and with your music, with your book releases, and with laughter.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure. Namaste. Good night. Bye. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. Okay, if you're there, just hang on. Okay, this is I like the cover of this. This is so. Yeah, the print is pretty classical. Anybody? Don't you like the cover? No, I'm not advertising. I mean it. Where have all the blue jays gone? We'll find out tomorrow at 8 p.m. with Poet's Choice, Akshay, myself, and Jennifer Ayla. That's 12 noon US time, which translates to 8:30 India IST. All right, so thank you for the hearts. I've collected all of them. I'll be sharing them with Akshay. And good night and see you again. I guess now they're moved. Will you